Hey guys, my name is Dean. Welcome to Manflow Yoga. In this video, I'm showing you 5 yoga postures to help you build strength and build muscle in a low impact, effective way. So one of the big concerns with people when they think about starting yoga or Manflow Yoga in specific is whether or not we can help you build muscle, whether or not yoga and the postures can help you build muscle and kind of serve as a substitute or as a replacement for weight training. So my recommendation is that you actually integrate both. But if your goal is to get away from weightlifting and to just do yoga or just do bodyweight exercise, you can maintain and build muscle, even build muscle with yoga postures. And I want to show you 5 of those poses that are most effective for doing that. So I'm going to show you the technique. I'm not going to go through the full technique because that would take a really long time, but I am going to go through a lot of the main things to keep in mind and point out some common errors. I'm going to tell you the reps, the sets, the cadence, so how you should do these exercises, how often, how long should you hold it for, and give you some ideas about how to integrate this into your weekly workout routine. So let's get going. The first exercise I want to show you is called the deep squat, and this is just the bottom part of a traditional squat exercise. So this is a really important exercise for strengthening your core. It helps with your hips, it helps your ankles, it helps prevent injuries in your knees, in your hips, your back, and it even helps with posture when done correctly. So some things you want to keep in mind for the deep squat. Make sure that your toes are facing either straight forward or slightly out. Your feet shouldn't be facing way out to the sides. You also, one big thing here is to keep your chest upright as you sit into the squat. So if you look at me from the side, my back should be mostly straight. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm not rounding forward into the squat here. My heels shouldn't be coming off the ground. I should be able to keep my heels flat on the ground. It will take some ankle mobility to get your heels totally on the ground, so if they're not there yet, don't worry about it. It will get better with time. And then other thing you want to keep in mind is making sure that you're using your butt muscles, that you're using your thighs, driving your knees out, squeezing your butt, and then making sure that your belly button is pulling up and in, and you're actually using your core here. So this is something that you can pretty much do anytime. You can use it as a warm-up for other workouts. You can do it as a standalone exercise, and as far as how long to hold it for, I would make sure you're doing it for at least 30 seconds, but make sure that you're holding yourself upright and you're continually pushing down through your feet and maintaining appropriate form or proper form for the duration of the exercise. Second exercise I want to show you is the yoga push-up, and this is actually a combination of 2 or 3 different exercises. So the yoga push-up is different from a traditional push-up in that your shoulders are actually coming a lot further forward. So instead of coming kind of with your elbows out as you come down, your elbows are very tightly into your sides, and there's more emphasis on pulling your chest forward and kind of pulling yourself forward before you lower down, as opposed to a traditional push-up. It's very good, and this slight change makes it very effective for building strength in your shoulders. It's good for actually building muscle in your chest, your shoulders, your arms. It's good for your core. And when done properly, it's also good for strengthening your back. So some common things you want to keep in mind as you're going through the yoga push-up. Starting in a plank, you should make sure that your index fingers are facing forward. Your index fingers shouldn't be facing in at all. And you want to keep your abs tight the entire time. Next, wrap your biceps slightly forward. So instead of letting my biceps kind of face in and my shoulders internally rotate, I want to make sure that my biceps are facing forward and I have a little bit of external rotation to my shoulders. Next thing to keep in mind is as you lower down, as I mentioned before, instead of lowering straight down, you're actually going to pull your body forward, and then keeping your forearms perpendicular to the floor, pull your shoulder blades together, squeeze the elbows in, and lower yourself down into a low plank position. If you have trouble with this position and maintaining proper technique, you can always take the knees down, as you see me doing here. And as you're in this low plank position, you should feel your upper back engaging. One of the biggest errors that I see here is this rounding in of the shoulders. Right? So we don't want to make the shoulders come in. That can lead to injury in your shoulders and your rotator cuff, and it can cause a lot of shoulder pain. So make sure that your shoulder blades are pulling toward one another and down, and that your chest is nice and open. And then from here, we can either push back up into the plank, kind of our starting position, or we can push up into an up dog. Up dog takes a lot of technique, but main things to keep in mind are pushing down through your feet, squeezing your legs together, continuing to wrap the biceps forward, and pulling the shoulder blades down and back so your neck is nice and open. You can move your head, and total engagement through your legs. So not relaxing your knees toward the ground, but keeping your legs really firmly engaged. All right, you can do that. As far as the rep sets cadence, you want to go slowly with that. So make sure you're not going quickly. Make sure you're going slowly and in controlled. I would maintain tension for at least 20 seconds, and you can go up to a minute. So maybe 5 reps at a minimum. Again, just make sure you're going really slow. You can also hold it as an isometric exercise and hold it for maybe 15, 30, even 45 seconds, as long as you're doing it with proper technique. Some ways to integrate this. You can use it as a warm-up, as long as your shoulders are nice and kind of warm already and you have proper technique. You can use it as a standalone workout to build strength in your shoulders, your back and your chest and your arms. And you can use it as a finisher, if you'd like, at the end of an upper body workout. And yeah, that is the yoga push-up. Number 3 exercise I want to show you is a warrior 2. And this is a quintessential yoga posture. This is what you see people doing. You know, when you think of yoga, right, this is what we think, right? We think this warrior 2 posture. Someone's probably doing it on a beach somewhere or at the top of a mountain. But you can also do it in your home or in a gym. So main things, the warrior 2 helps a lot with, well, a ton of different things because it works on your hip mobility. It works on proper spinal alignment. It works on core strength. It works on your ankles. And it even works on your neck and your shoulders. So some things you want to keep in mind as you're in a warrior 2. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is the hip alignment. So you'll see a lot of people with their butt kind of stick out behind them. And when your butt goes up behind you, you can notice pretty easily because your thigh is no longer parallel with the side of the mat. So you want to make sure that you're keeping that thigh parallel to the sides of the mat. Your butt should stay under your torso. So you want to make sure that your butt is not behind you. And if you look at kind of your belly button, you should notice here that you have a straight line from your waist or from your pubic bone up through your sternum. If you notice that your back is arching and you can't actually see your waistline, assuming that you can normally see your waistline, then you know that you're doing this incorrectly. So make sure that your spine is neutral, you're not arching your back. Finally, make sure that you're squeezing your legs toward one another. So squeezing your feet toward one another as if your feet were sliding apart. And that helps to engage your inner thighs and improve your core engagement. Sorry, I said finally, but one more thing. Make sure that you're looking over your middle finger, so actually turning with your head, because this is a stretch we don't often do with our neck, and it's really good for keeping your head, your shoulders, and your neck happy. And then arms pressing in opposite directions as far as you can, so that you'll actually feel a stretch through your biceps. For this pose, you want to make sure that you do it on both sides. I would hold for a minimum of 30 seconds. You can hold for up to 90 seconds. I would do 1 to 2 on both sides. Things you would want to use this for, or kind of in the context of a workout. You can do it as part of a mobility or a yoga-focused workout. You can do it as a really quick standalone workout. Maybe if you just have 5 minutes here or there and you want to counter sitting at a desk or just stretch a little bit. The only thing I wouldn't use this for is before an intense workout. So I wouldn't use this before sprints or an exercise where you're doing a lot of quick changes of directions, and I also wouldn't do it before a weightlifting session where you're trying to hit a new PR. And the reason for that is you don't want to go too far into, you don't want to stretch too much before a workout because that inhibits muscular performance. So that's the only thing I wouldn't use it before, but as long as it's a low to medium intensity workout, you can definitely do Warrior 2 kind of as a warm-up. All right, number 3 exercise I want to show you, number 4 now, is Warrior 3. And this is a really challenging full body exercise. You only have to hold it for 15 seconds as long as you're really pushing yourself to make it work. It challenges your shoulder mobility. It works on your back strength. It is extremely effective for your core. It helps with your hips, with your glutes, helps with your hamstrings, with your hamstring mobility, and it also helps with your ankles. So there's very little that this posture does not address. Some things that you want to keep in mind in terms of the technique here. Warrior 3 kind of starts off from a lunge position, goes into an airplane, and then from an airplane, we extend the arms forward, so kind of making a T shape with the body here. So some things that you want to keep in mind. I see a tendency for the hips to kind of turn off to the inside. So if you notice that your hips, your whatever leg is behind you starts to swivel so that it's behind your standing leg, that means that you're not engaging your hips or your glutes properly in the standing leg. So make sure that you're engaging your butt muscles in your standing leg to keep the hips squared forward. Next, you want to avoid rounding down through your chest. So I see the chest below the hips a lot, and this is fine for stretching, but it's not what we want for a Warrior 3. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your spine parallel to the floor, belly button pulled up and in so your core is tight. Right? So this is the other aspect of it. We want to make sure that that back is flat, parallel to the floor, and the arms are extending forward. So you shouldn't see your arms at all while you're doing this posture. The arms should be squeezing up. You might not be able to get your arms up that high yet, but keep in mind, you should be striving to get the arms overhead so you can't see your arms. So you're kind of making that T shape with your body. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you're growing and extending in all directions. So for the last 5 seconds or so of the pose, make sure you're pushing down through your feet, you're getting taller, you're reaching further forward, and you're really extending the legs back. So you're kind of moving. It's not a huge difference, it's just that subtle extension to increase the intensity of the pose and just get a little bit more out of it. Cadence, reps, set. I would do this for a minimum of 15 seconds. You can hold it for 30 seconds, and I would do this at least 1 to 2 times. This exercise is really intense, so you can use it as a standalone workout. You can use it as long as you're warmed up. You can use it as part of a yoga workout. You can do it, as I mentioned, as a standalone workout. The only thing I would not, again, kind of similar to Warrior 2, I would not use this before a high intensity workout, just because we are working really deep into the hamstrings. If you weren't actually keeping your legs straight here and working on this stretch through your hamstrings, then it would be a great warm-up exercise because we're just squeezing the arms back, and that's not really a stretch. That's more about active mobility, and that's more about strength. But because we have that leg straight and you are stretching that hamstring pretty tightly, or a lot, I would not do this before a high intensity workout. And then the last pose I want to show you is a Cobra. And Cobra is just an essential pose. It's incredibly effective for your back. It helps with your core. It helps with your posture. And it even helps with your legs. So things to keep in mind for the Cobra. First thing is to make sure that you're using your legs. So the biggest error that I see is people just using their arms to push up or lifting with their back. And you want to make sure that you're pushing the tops of your feet into the ground and squeezing your legs together. So the toes are pushing tightly into the ground. My legs are squeezing toward one another. My knees are lifted because my thighs are totally engaged. And then when I have that, then I can lift using my core strength. I'm not really using my back that much here. This is more so initially about the core, so your abdominal area and your hips and your thighs. From there, you want to make sure that your elbows are squeezing in tight to your sides, so your chest is as open as possible. You're squeezing the elbows into the sides and up and back, so you feel your upper back and your mid back engaging. And then you want to make sure that you're pushing your head away from the rest of your body, so you're creating length through your spine and then starting to increase the depth of the posture. So those are your 3 things to keep in mind. Very effective exercise, again, really great for your spine, addresses most of the root causes of back pain. It also helps to increase your energy, elevate your mood, and it even improves posture. So just a lot of really good things going on in that exercise. I would hold it for at least 20 seconds and maybe upwards of 45 seconds. Just make sure you're maintaining good technique. So that thigh engagement, that core engagement, make sure that you're maintaining that engagement through the entire exercise, not forgetting about it halfway through, but keep it going the whole time. You can do it, you can actually do this before any workout. So this can serve as a warm-up for running, for sprints, for weightlifting, or for a team sport like soccer or basketball. You can do it as a standalone workout. Maybe you've got a few minutes to kind of offset the negative effects of sitting at a desk, or You know, you have a 10 minutes to work on mobility or something like that. So you can really use it anytime, really anytime. So it does work for tons of different things. And that's it. So those are kind of my 5 postures that I wanted to share with you. If you want to learn more about yoga and building strength and muscle with low impact, effective exercise, head to the link here. It's manflowyoga.com/blog/low-impact. So you can learn more about how Manflow Yoga helps to, and I can't speak for all yoga because not all yoga is like Manflow Yoga. Very little yoga is actually like Manflow Yoga. So I can talk about how Manflow Yoga helps to build muscle, helps to build strength, and can serve as kind of a way that you can transition out of weights and still build strength and still build muscle using body weight exercise. So if you're not already subscribed on YouTube or Instagram or on Facebook, make sure you subscribe. We put out content almost every day on and different content on each of these channels. So make sure to check that out. And yeah, that's it. I hope to see you guys on another video. Hope you learned something from this. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like it, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next video.